What's going on, guys? I hope that you're all having a wonderful day today. For those of you that are new to the channel, my name is Ty, and today in this video, we're going to be talking about Deadpool and Wolverine, but we're only going to be focusing on one half of that tandem, that being Wolverine. Is Hugh Jackman gonna return to the MCU after Deadpool and Wolverine? Don't get me wrong, I know that this movie isn't even out yet, but still, I want to speculate, strike while the iron's hot, and just dive into this topic that I feel like a lot of people are discussing, because Hugh Jackman, as everyone knows, he's kind of up there in age at this point, so is he going to return to the MCU after Deadpool and Wolverine, or is this going to be his last ride with the yellow outfit on? Well, technically, it's also his first ride with the yellow outfit on, but I want to dive into it right now. So listen, this is the thing. As we know, Deadpool and Wolverine is 12 days away, at least as of the day that this video is dropping. I literally could not be more excited. I mean, I'm trying to make as many videos as I possibly can about Deadpool and Wolverine because I'm just through the roof thrilled, and I just needed to get here. But moving on from there, listen. There's this thing that keeps coming up about whether or not Hugh Jackman and Deadpool are going to be in the MCU now, if they're not going to be in the MCU. And don't get me wrong, I know that this movie is going to answer that question probably, or at least hint at it at least. But right now it's fun to speculate, so let's just talk about it. Because the big projects that are coming up, of course, are Avengers 5, which is technically untitled. Of course, it was Kang Dynasty. But then the entire Jonathan Major situation happened, which I don't even want to dive into. Who's right, who's wrong, whatever. I really do not care. But either way, Marvel had to pivot. They fired him. Now it's a matter of, are they going to recast? Are they going to bring in a new villain? We just don't know. And again, they're probably going to announce it at San Diego Comic-Con, what the new name is at the bare minimum. But we just don't know at this point. And then, of course, building on top of Avengers 5 is going to be Avengers Secret Wars, which, again, we don't know if that's going to be 2 parts or just 1 movie. Maybe Avengers 5 is the first part, and then the Secret Wars, like that slot, is actually the second part. We don't know. Maybe it's 3 movies, like I'm saying. I have no idea. The thing is, though, there's just been this conversation about whether Deadpool and Wolverine, more specifically Wolverine, is going to return to the MCU. Because, you know, Deadpool has only been being played for about, I want to say, since 2016. What is that, 8 years at this point? That's not a super lengthy amount of time. Don't get me wrong, I know that Ryan Reynolds played Deadpool in X-Men Origins Wolverine, but I'm not counting that. I'm talking about the real Deadpool. And Ryan Reynolds also, I'm pretty sure, is just like in his 40s. He's maybe like around 46, something like that. But Hugh Jackman has been playing Wolverine for 25 years, okay? That's insane. It's like his 10th Wolverine movie, at least the one that's coming up, Deadpool and Wolverine. It's going to be his 10th film, and he's like 55 years old. That's my real issue with this, is that he's already 55 years old. By the time they even get into production for the 5th Avengers film, he's going to be like 2 years older by the time it comes out at least. Then Secret Wars is going to be like 4 years older. Just gets into this whole thing. But listen, let's just knock a couple of things, you know, out of the question here. Let's just knock a couple of things out of the picture. There's no way that Wolverine's going to be in things like Shang-Chi 2, Doctor Strange in the... I almost said in the Multiverse of Madness. Doctor Strange 3, like those individual types of projects. Armor Wars, obviously he's not going to show up in any shows or anything. I think it's pretty clear that if he was to come back to the MCU, it would be in one of these main Avenger films. I can't even see another place where he could possibly show up. Thor 5 would make no sense. It feels like Avengers or bust. And even from there, one thing that I really want to make clear, if he even was to return to the MCU, it would either be in Avengers 5 or Avengers Secret Wars, but he'd definitely be done after that. Because the way that I'm seeing is, after Secret Wars, I feel like things might get reset. And again, I'm not trying to get into so many like rumors, who's going to come back, who's not, whatever. But it feels like Secret Wars is going to be this great reset for the MCU, where we're moving on to like the mutant saga with like the X-Men, maybe the Fantastic Four, and like we're kind of progressing them, even though their movie comes out next year. Still, like they're going to become a larger focus. You know, we're kind of tighten things up here a little bit because we have so many characters running around in the MCU nowadays. It gets kind of hectic. So, if anything, I think it'll only be Avengers 5 and Avengers Secret Wars. But from there, I feel like they're going to have to bring in a new Wolverine, a new X-Men team. Because it feels like Deadpool and Wolverine realistically is the end of the X-Men that we know and love. Or at least some of us love. That being, you know, the whole kill the X-Men universe, kill the Fox universe thing that they're going for here. It's going to be very funny. It's going to play out well. I feel like, and this is just my opinion, Avengers 5 is going to be more of a normal Avengers movie, and almost in a way like Avengers Age of Ultron, where it kind of fills in the gap. So what do I mean by that? When it came to Avengers, you know, the first one in 2012, that had all the Avengers together. It brought them together. We had our first like Thanos sighting, right? That was pretty cool. Then in Infinity War and Endgame, we had Thanos come back as the main villain. But Age of Ultron sort of acted as like this bridge where we had all the stuff with Sokovia that led into Civil War where the Avengers split up, which hurt them and made them lose in Infinity War. I feel like Avengers 5 is going to be like an Age of Ultron where it sort of bridges all this craziness that's been going on with Phase 4 and Phase 5. It pulls everything together. It's kind of like the glue that brings everyone together. It establishes our Avengers. So maybe it's not the most insane Avengers movie ever, like Endgame or Infinity War, but it's still very high stakes. It establishes what's going on in the MCU. We get a very clear idea and direction. And then don't get me wrong, I'm not saying that has to be a commercial for the next movie, but still, it's just like a more self-contained, we understand what's going on within the MCU type of film. It's a bridge film, but it still has its own identity. Then that brings us into Secret Wars, which is our real Infinity War Endgame, again, which might be 1 or 2 movies. And I think that's where Wolverine comes in. Because I feel like Avengers 5 is going to have like our regular Avengers. Shang-Chi, maybe a She-Hulk, which I wouldn't really love necessarily. Captain America, Doctor Strange, those characters. But then in Secret Wars, maybe it gets crazy. Maybe Robert Downey Jr. returns. Maybe Tobey Maguire returns. Maybe Wolverine returns. Hugh Jackman, of course. I think that's where we really start to get pretty crazy, pretty hectic. But it just feels like that still is pretty slim chance, I'm going to be honest with you. It just feels like Logan, right? They were already pushing it because Logan, Wolverine died, right? Hugh Jackman's Logan passed away. His character was over. Ryan Reynolds was like, buddy, please, we have to do a Deadpool Wolverine film. Then he was like, okay, fine. So now he came back, right? They've been having all these interviews, all these press conferences in China and Berlin, I think. They've been like kind of, teasing, well, the interviews have been saying, hey, can we see so-and-so in the future, Deadpool and Wolverine? And they're like, oh, no comment. They're kind of dancing around it. I don't think it's because they actually are. I think it's because they haven't figured it out yet. And don't get me wrong, in 12 days, I could watch this movie and say, oh my god, in the post-credit scene, they teased that they're going to be doing this. And also, there was that little promotional pre-movie video that they put out where they're basically telling the audience to be quiet and stay off their phones. And Deadpool was talking to Wolverine, and he goes, oh, I heard that in Secret Wars, they're going to tease, and then he gets cut off. So they're kind of referencing that, but I don't think it's that serious. But I think that the point is, I don't know if Marvel knows what they're doing with Deadpool and Wolverine yet. I think that this is kind of just more of a self-contained multiverse story, which I know kind of sounds like an oxymoron, but I really do think that's what it's going to be. It's meant more to end the X-Men Fox universe rather than to start the future of the MCU, if that makes sense, or keep it pushing. So it's more about a bookend rather than starting something new. Maybe they'll tease something in the post-credit scene, but I think, like I said, this is almost meant to be the Avengers Endgame of the Fox X-Men universe. It's not trying to, set up Phase 6 and 7 and 8 and 9. No. I think it's more about finishing this off, then we can readjust, we can recalibrate, and figure out where to go from there. Where are we going to pivot? Because, like I said, it just feels like Avengers 5 is going to be more of a bridge movie because we just haven't really had an Avengers film, a team-up film in a while. And I feel like that has to be the one just to bring everyone together. Secret Wars is going to be the one where everything gets crazy, all multiverse, who's coming back from the dead, who's not. And that's where I think I could see Deadpool and Wolverine, but more specifically Wolverine, coming back. But again, it's all up to Hugh Jackman. Is he going to say, oh, I really want to keep doing this? Or are his, musical theater roots, kind of calling to him in the back of his head, almost like the Green Goblin mask, like, come back on Broadway, we want you. He did The Greatest Showman. He loves all that theater stuff. I mean, he's a phenomenal theater guy. I mean, I love when he sings and stuff. He's great. He's awesome. So it's kind of one of these things where it's like, do you just pass the torch to the next guy? Maybe a Daniel Radcliffe? But yeah, I just wanted to discuss this today because, man, first of all, I want to talk about Deadpool and Wolverine. And also, I feel like it's fun to talk about before this movie comes out because of the fact that we don't know. And again, like I said, this might get answered in the movie in 12 days. But at this point in time, we don't know. And it just makes it that much more exciting. Guys, 12 days away. That's it. Let me know if you guys are excited for this movie. Let me know what you guys think. Are we going to see Deadpool in the future? Are we going to see Wolverine in the future? More importantly, only because, like I was saying, Wolverine, he's been around for longer. It feels like his time's running out. Whereas Deadpool still feels relatively fresh, so it's a little bit different with Ryan Reynolds. But guys, thank you so much for watching this video. I love you guys, and I'll see you in the next video.